All right, so we talk weekly, y'all. Lady S. Dot is definitely in the building. Got Classy Lady Sparkle is out today, so she's handling some personal business. We got the Sizzle definitely in the building, and we have someone with whom I have a tremendous amount of respect for. That's like Big Sis. She holding it down, doing some great things in the community, and you already know, if you in the community, I love you, right? So we're very hard on people who ask for our support and stuff like that, because if we don't see you in the streets, we don't mess with you like that. We want to see you really doing some things for the community. And this young lady right here, today I'm super excited for, and we're going to talk a little bit about some of the work that she's doing. So, before we get started, why don't you let me know, how was your day? How was your day, sis, man?
I had a quiet day. I was at home getting some things done around the house, so it was pretty quiet and chill. And then I made my way here, so I'm happy to be here.
Okay, I'll give you an applause for that. No doubt. What about you, Classy Lady? Well, she's usually the next person I go to. I'm so used to her being here. All right, what's up? Lady S. Holla at me. You here?
I'm good, man. Had a good day, productive day. I've been running since I got up this AM. Okay. But I love when I have productive days. It makes me feel good. Because it's like, I got something done. Yeah. It's all those things, those little things that's been in the back of your mind. And it's like, I got to do this now. Yeah. You can sigh because it's all going. That feels good.
No doubt. Well, that's great news. You know what else is great news? We get to go to...
You skip over your day.
My day was... I'm worn out on my day right now. I lost my voice and everything. But, I'm excited.
Yeah, your favorite part.
My favorite part of the show. It's the interviews. And why is it my favorite segment of the show? Because I get to talk to the great people. So without further ado, Lauren, let me know, who do we have today?
So we have the beautiful Miss Tanisha Bezue. Did I say that right?
That was perfect.
Yeah, okay. I feel like I need an accent to be able to do it justice because it's such a beautiful name. But she joined the Committee of 70 in September 2023 and serves as program manager for their voter engagement and public education initiatives in Philadelphia and across the Commonwealth. A Teach for America alumni, Tanisha spent 13 years teaching middle school students social studies, and has always had a passion for encouraging active citizenship.
That's right.
She is committed to empowering individuals to participate in the democratic process and has served as a judge of elections since 2020.
Let's go.
She graduated Phi Beta Kappa from Rutgers University.
She's smart.
with a BA in English and later earned a master's in urban education from the University of Pennsylvania.
As did I.
Yes.
From Temple, though.
Yes.
I knew I loved you.
Oh, wow.
But the Committee of 70 is a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization that has promoted, supported, and facilitated government ethics and election integrity for a century. 70 advocates for more free, fair, safe, and secure elections and works to ensure that every eligible voter votes, is informed when they vote, and votes with confidence. So welcome to the show. Give a warm welcome to Miss Tanisha Bezue.
Let's go. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, we're excited for you to be here. It's like my sis right here. Free, fair, what is it? Free, fair, secure, and safe.
Yes.
Unbelievable. We're going to talk a little bit about that because I never knew that. Which is the reason why I think this will be an excellent and dynamic interview, because a lot of the things that's going on in the community today and in the world and the nation, right? But also just simply because we have been talking a lot about civics and engaging, right? Engaging our young folks, engaging our community. And we constantly or often hear about C70, right? So for those who don't necessarily understand what the Committee of 70 is, can you kind of explain that a little bit more?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So Committee of 70 has been around for 120 years. They started as effort to combat corruption in government. And this is around the same time that this is happening in Chicago, New York, so it's not specific to Philadelphia itself. But growing out of just focusing on City Hall, it was really about what we've really been focused on are free, fair elections, making sure that everyone who is eligible to vote knows how to vote, feels comfortable at their polling place. And my role in that is really about voter education.
Right. So why? All right. So let's start there. Voter education, and then we'll build, because I want to talk a little bit more and engage in civics. But why is voter education important?
How much time we got again?
Why?
So often. So earlier today, Committee of 70 was invited to table at an event for Council Member Jeffrey Young Jr.
Okay.
And we had some voter registration tables nearby, and people are hearing all the time, you got to register to vote, come out and vote, make sure to vote. And people hear that message. People have got it. People are like, all right, like, I'll get around to it, I'll do it. But then they get into the voting booth and they're like, who are these people? Like, they know what's at the top of the ticket. But down ballot, which is closer, I almost don't like the down ballot term. It's more of like the people who are near it and dearest to us, like knowing who those people are, and also knowing the relevance. Like, why do I care about these different offices? That's what I love to do. So I have a few different training sessions that I do. One is connected to our amazing guide called How Philly Works. And I do a presentation that really just like guides people through that book itself.
Okay.
And it talks about the mayor's role, city council. It talks about our $6.3 billion annual budget. Like, where is that money going? Where is it coming from? I definitely know the line item on my paycheck where it comes from. But then also how to be a poll worker. And then the session that I've been doing the most this election cycle is what's on my ballot. And so I go through and I talk about the major races like Attorney General. So many people are like, they see the commercials, but really knowing like beyond Law and Order, which, you know, everybody's got that in there. Yeah, you know, you fall asleep to it, wake up, still on, you know, because there's a million seasons. But Attorney General is so important. Everyone has had someone come to their door saying, I could save you some money on your utility bill. Or you get a text message saying, that package hasn't been delivered. Click this link. And so consumer protection is a major part of the Attorney General's role as well. There's also, when we think about vulnerable populations, not Philadelphia, but Pennsylvania has a third largest percentage of elders in the United States. We have over 2 million elders who are 65 and older. Not trying to shame nobody with the 65. I'm just stating the facts. But we have a senior protection unit that the Attorney General is responsible for, trying to make sure that this population isn't taken advantage of from, you know, fraud or from the health facilities that they might be in. And so these are things that really do impact our everyday life, making sure that the money that we work hard for isn't taken from us, making sure that our seniors are taken care of and get to live out their last days and with dignity. And these are the things that I like to tell people of like, this is why we need to make sure whoever we vote for, because Committee of 70 is nonpartisan. We want to make sure you vote your values, but we need to make sure we know, why do we care about this office, so that we know who to put in it.
Jeez, there's so much there to unpack.
I'm so sorry. I get so passionate about
No. I love it, because that's what the purpose of this conversation is, because I wanted to talk, because you talked about vulnerable populations. You talked about the down ballot, which I'm very interested in to talk more about, and just civic education in general. But let's go back to the down ballot, because I think some people feel, or there has been so much advertisement on literally just the presidential campaign, right? No one else knows what the heck else is going on, right? So for those who are watching, can you just talk a little bit more about the other people who are just as important in our community that we should kind of pay attention to?
Absolutely. So when government can be so confusing, because we have local, state, and federal, and then there's all the different levels that are in there. So it's just overwhelming. And sometimes when things are overwhelming, people, for better or for worse, are like, I'll do that later.
Yeah.
Meaning never.
Right.
And so the local government elections, that was all on last fall's ballot. And so right now we have state and federal. And state government's so hard. I often say in these sessions I do, it's the middle child of government. Like, local government is adorable. It's right there. It's right next to you. You know, it's calling for you all the time. And so you care about local government. And then federal is like the eldest child who's the smartest, maybe has the most money at least. Like, so elder daughter. So that gets a lot of attention. But the middle child, state government, in addition to the row offices, the three statewide offices of Attorney General, Treasurer. Pennsylvania has $150 billion in assets. Like, somebody's got to make sure that money is used right. And then Auditor General, we need transparency for that. But then when we look at our legislature, and we have the second largest legislature in the country, the largest full-time with 253 people elected, right? It's huge. There's so many people. And we do have those two roles, PA rep and PA senator, on our ballot. Why do we care about those two? Well, when we think about who's making laws, we have our city council members, and there's 17 on a local level. And our district council people, the 10 district council people, represent about 160,000 people. But a PA rep represents 60,000. They have far fewer constituents. Wow. And they're not only in Harrisburg, they're also in our neighborhoods. Right. So they can help you with getting a senior SEPTA card. They can help you with birth certificates, death certificates. They can help you get things notarized for free. Yeah. They are there to help you, and they have constituent representatives that you can call for things that you need. And that's what they're there for. And people don't know that they have these local advocates who have far fewer constituents than our district council people even. Right. And then like a PA senator represents about 250,000. So they're like, if you think of who is closest to you, you have your PA rep who's in the neighborhood, you have your district council people, then you have your PA senator. All of these electeds are there to represent us and to help us. And we should know their names. And to do that, shameless plug, Committee of 70 has a Find Your Elected. Yes, I would be remiss if I didn't. We have a Find Your Elected where you can see who are these people, go to their websites. I didn't even mention all of the things they can do for you. And getting to know these people via like calling or email is just so important.
So, wow, so much, man. so why do you think there's so much promotion on, say, for example, the presidential campaign, which I already know they have the money, but the assumption is that they are the ones that the people, quote unquote, need locally. When literally, like you said, it might be a PA state rep that if you're having a problem in your street, down the block, maybe trash dumping or something like that, that's who you need to go to. So how do we as a full community start to give the correct information on or to these vulnerable populations that these are the correct people that you need to go to if you're having X, Y, and Z issue? Where can they find that? Where can they locate? How can they get that information?
Yeah, this is such a wonderful tip. Oh my goodness, thank you. Through our wonderful grant from Every Voice, Every Vote, we have a guide called, wonderful, so grateful. We have this resource called How Philly Works, and we eventually want to expand it into how wards work. That's the next thing that we're working on to get even closer to the people, and then how states work so that state government is no longer middle child. But we were able to give this guide, which is just 24 pages, 12 pages, like back and front. We were able to give 300 to all of our council people, and then Councilmember Young has gotten 600. They are giving those out to all of their constituents. We have these infographics too that explain what the mayor's role is with public education, public safety. We were able to give those in English, Spanish, and Chinese to all branches of our library, as well as over 170 rec centers. And so that's what we're trying to do, is make sure that we explain to people how local government works. Like, how does Philly work? And again, you mentioned that I was a teacher for 13 years, and yet I still learn so much from this resource. And again, we have a presentation that goes along with it, and I was able to give that presentation to Philadelphia community school leaders, and so they have invited us into high schools to do this for kids. And we have a wonderful group of volunteers from Penn's Law School through their Democracy Leadership Program, and they are going in so that it's young people talking to young people, because that's really the most important part. Like Committee of 70, we're a small, lean organization that is all about giving resources to trusted messengers so that we can have other people out there just talking to people in their neighborhoods with about issues that they value, and sometimes in the language that is most appropriate for that neighborhood. So that's what we're trying to do, and starting with Philly, really making sure people understand how our city works.
Yeah, fantastic. You had a question?
Oh, I did have a question that's I guess not in line with that, but just talking about when it comes to safety and secure elections, I just wanted to know, have there been any instances of maybe voter intimidation, things like that? Because we're seeing that in other states and cities, and I heard about a documentary that's out that followed people who were basically antagonized by these groups that have been developed, and they go, I guess when they're out voting, they call them and say your ballot is not right, or they're basically intimidating them and giving them a hard time. Has C70 come across any of that, and if so, how do you handle that?
So and specifically as a poll worker myself, I have been blessed to never have that. I have a great committee person, 2 committee people that are wonderful in our area, and so locally, like, I've been really blessed not to have that. And then what we do as an organization, we have poll worker information sessions that we have, as well as poll watcher information sessions, because for Philadelphia itself, we need 8,500 poll workers for every election. And so across the state, and our poll worker info sessions and poll watcher sessions, and I'll get to the distinction in a second, our trainings or info sessions are good statewide to just try and build awareness, even if people eventually or ultimately can't take that day off because it's not yet a federal holiday. Maybe one day we'll work on daylight savings time first, and then we'll go to election day. So we need to make sure that people understand how the system works. And so we have info sessions for people to feel confident in what they do. And part of the poll worker training now includes a de-escalation section. We were lucky to have some training from Broad Street Ministry, now Broad Street Love. They have a really robust training. And so they came in and gave us some really great tips and techniques. And ultimately, it boils down to the same thing as middle school. You can only really control yourself. Yeah. You're just trying to keep everyone calm. And so we definitely don't want to put anyone in harm's way. But to address that fear and uncertainty that you were talking about, we want to make sure that people have strategies for that day. But then there's also poll watchers. So you have poll watchers who are coming into the precinct to represent, they're representing a candidate or a party. So you might have like a presidential poll watcher, like someone from that party or that representing that candidate, or you'll have someone from the Democratic or Republican Party, and they're coming in to make sure that everything is running smoothly. And we want that. We being not only Committee of 70, but also the city commissioners who run the elections. We want to make sure that there's transparency so that everyone's doing what they're supposed to and everyone feels confident in the system. And so we have trainings for them. They're allowed to ask questions about how many people have voted yet, because they really want to turn out the vote as well. Like, everyone ultimately, and this might just, I really hope it's not me, but I really do believe, like, everyone deeply, it's good. Everyone wants good things to happen. And so poll watchers want people to turn out. Poll workers want to help voters, vote. And so when all sides know what's happening without the fear mongering, without any kind of like biased language, then it does work smoothly.
Yeah, so part of, or one of the questions that I constantly ask people like yourself in leadership positions are, what do you tell someone who maybe is just over voting or feels that voting isn't for me, voting, it doesn't make any difference, it doesn't change, or X, Y, and Z? I hear it all, right? So what would you say to someone if they say, I don't want to vote because my vote don't count? What would you tell a person like that?
Yeah, it definitely depends on who I'm talking to. One of the common refrains that I hear is like, oh, like nothing really comes of it. And when I hear that, I just remind people that democracy is like any living thing. It can be healthy or unhealthy. Right. And so there are those day after day healthy habits that you have to do. And we do them, whether it's brushing our teeth, going to the gym, like eating vegetables, drinking enough water. Like, there are the tasks that you have to do. And then when you stop, that's when you notice that it has, like, you are becoming unhealthy. And the same with democracy. We have to do these daily habits, or these, like, bi-yearly, like, habits of voting. We need to vote during the primary so that we nominate the people that we want to see in the fall. And we definitely have to come out in the fall. It's great to be a poll worker. It's great to be a block captain. It's great to be a committee person. Like, we have to do these things, or else it becomes unhealthy. And we see when there's lots of rigorous participation, we definitely see those summertime bodies, right? And so we see that in a very healthy way in our democracy too. And then we definitely see that slump when people aren't participating. And so people don't always see the immediate impact. When you start running, you don't see it right away. People have voted in a few cycles and they're like, nothing's changed. I'm going to opt out. And it's a lifelong commitment. But I do understand that, when people feel like, I've heard people say to me, like, well, my grandma was block captain and she did that for a long time. And like, we still have problems. But you need new, and not always new young people, but you need people to constantly be in this cycle. Absolutely, to stay involved. And it can't just be one person and then bad things happen. They do, and that's why we have to be vigilant.
I like that you brought that. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, it's important. What you said was very important, because you want to see those new faces. You want to see those faces, because it makes you and your community feel more like a community.
Absolutely.
Everybody always comes out and shows up for the primaries, right? But we need everybody to understand how important it is to come out for the smaller ones, the local ones, right? Because what do we always say? It starts at home, right? So if it starts at home, we got to start with our community, start with our city before we can get to the whole country, right? But let's start here. But I think what you were talking about, earlier, they're not coming out because they don't know them. They don't know them. So how do we get them to know who they are? I mean, all of it, from the voting for the judges, and not just mayor and governor and senators, but everybody.
Great question.
How do we get them out?
I think a lot of it comes, not to put too much onus on like block captains and committee people, but I think for me, I was so lucky when I moved from one neighborhood to another. I had one committee person introduce me to another and like help me to learn who who are the people in my
Right.
neighborhood?
Right.
And I think pandemic really kept a lot of people inside. I also bought a house and I'm like, I'm gonna stay inside. This mortgage is causing me to stay inside. I'm gonna enjoy this inside. But that kept people from being on their stoops, talking to people, and then you lose that connectedness of knowing who are the people besides Block Party, like besides the Summer Peace, and even those have gone down in city numbers. I saw that in the Inquirer over the summer of the number of permits requests have continued to decrease over time, and we need to make sure that we are talking to each other, and not just in those instances, but both primary and in the general. So I think it really does have to be us just coming outside and being vulnerable and talking to one another, because that makes you connected. Then you want good things for people around you, and it's not just about you, it's about the block.
So I wanna talk a little bit about that, because I agree. I agree that we need to talk to people and get people out. What I have been seeing, however, is this something that's very new, and it's like this interesting energy that's very argumentative and centered around vitriol between like two parties, right? And it's this idea that, well, you're black, so you got to vote this way, or you're a Democrat, so you can't do this, right? Or how could a black person be a Republican, or something like that, right? So I'm curious to get your perspective on, when I say us as a community, I'm talking black folk right now, right? Us as a community, is there this unwritten narrative that we must vote a certain type of way, and are you starting to see kind of an influx in folks moving to a Republican kind of perspective, because y'all nonpartisan, right? And so I'm sure you have a mix of all, right? So what are you seeing on that horizon of Democrats, Republican, black folks, different parties, kind of? I know that's a loaded question, but I'm interested to hear your perspective.
Yeah. So when I am talking to people in many different parts of Philly and then the collar counties as well, I'm always talking about our interactive voter guide and how you type in your address to find your candidates and you vote your values. Right. And so I always say, I have my own, and I have my own thoughts, and many of you may make assumptions based off of what you see about what those are. But I really, not that I don't and myself like to talk about my positions, I definitely do. And the friends and family are probably laughing to themselves once they hear me say that. But when I talk to people about our tool, it's really because I want people to feel that they can do that research themselves and vote how they feel. Right. And so I think that kind of like bleeds into the sessions that I do, where like people feel like, oh, this is good and no one's going to judge me, because there is that feeling of judgment so much. And the judgment that I hear, and I'll come back to the partisan part, but the judgment that I think comes across the most is that people feel badly about not knowing, about being quote unquote ignorant about these things. And I tell them, as an elder millennial, I was really lucky not to have the football coach be my history teacher in high school, even though Governor Walz was an assistant coach and a social studies teacher, and I'm sure he was great. But for so many people, it was open up the textbook, read that chapter, keep it moving, don't bother me. And so unless you had interest in it or your family had interest in it, then maybe it's just small in Schoolhouse Rock, right? You might have just have these small ideas just kind of like floating around in your head. And so often that's what I get. And so I try to tell people there are no barriers to entry here. Like we're just gonna have fun. I have little like pause point questions in my presentation. I throw out fruit snacks. Like I have a little cartoon Steve Harvey that comes up, and then it's like, all right, I need a volunteer. Like I want there to be joy and happiness, and that's the anxiety that people have when I'm talking to them, is that they're more just at a loss for what's happening. And so on a partisan level, that, I don't know. I don't really feel, for me specifically, like that has come up in my space, but I think that's because I try to make sure also with through Committee of 70 that it's a very welcoming place because we're talking about language learners, we're talking about new citizens, and we just did a panel for foreign-born voters, and they face massive amounts of discrimination. And so my concern is just like being a mama at the polling place, being like, everyone's welcome. Like, I want you to vote your values. And so that's the space that I inhabit.
We usually try to amplify vulnerable communities and issues that happen. Would you mind talking a little bit more about that situation that they feel, I guess, discriminated or bullied or whatever? Because I want to make sure that if that is an issue, we need to identify it so we can find support for it.
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple weeks ago, Committee of 70 had a panel discussion co-sponsored by the Welcoming Center and the Museum of the American Revolution. And if you didn't know, the Museum of the American Revolution is amazing, but they also have these classes, these citizenship classes, that are free to help people study for the citizenship exam, which is 100 questions. I used to give it to my students, and it was really great for the school that I worked at. It was a bilingual school, and so some of the parents and some of the teachers were studying for the exam themselves, so kids got to go home and practice with their families. So we had a discussion with many amazing partners. We are so blessed at Committee of 70 to have great partnerships with SABA, with Asian Americans United. And so we had these leaders that represent different groups throughout the city just talk about whether it's the same kind of feelings of apathy, but more of like, how is it going to help me? I have different concerns coming here. So getting to those issues, language barriers that people may feel, prejudice once they go into an unfamiliar place, and then all of the lived historical reality that people, if they're coming from a country where you don't trust the electoral process, or there could be repercussions for what you do. People are bringing all of that true lived experience here, and then we're telling them, definitely in Philly, trust the process. And that can be daunting for people. And so whether it's language or, and then let's just think too, we're so lucky that there's not a ballot question this November. But even when there
I was going to ask you that, so it's not one.
There's not one. There's not
good.
one.
Right.
But even when there is one, they'll say, "Oh, here's the plain English version," and it's still difficult, right? And so
it's hard for me, and it's written the way that it's written.
So difficult. It's like shall the Philadelphia Home Rule Charter be amended so as to right. And so Committee of 70, we always have a yes or no. So we have, when there is a ballot question, we have in plain language, like, what happens if I say yes? What happens if I say no? And some of these things are just so, like, easy to understand where your values are. Like when the disability office was a question, like, should you make it permanent? And so people could definitely say yay or nay on that. But when you think then, that's English, I'm assuming, is, at least for the people in this room, is our primary language. Imagine if it's not.
Yeah, I know.
Right? And so making sure that we have, now Philadelphia also has the ballot in English, Spanish, and Chinese. But we also have interpreters, but there might not always be interpreters. And then if there are interpreters, there's a difference between everyday conversation and then technical language, right?
100%,
And so those are some of the barriers that someone may encounter. So you have, different generational experiences. And then if we think about all of our Hispanic brothers and sisters, like even within their huge diaspora, right? Like you have Puerto Ricans who are citizens, and yet their feelings are so different. And when they are voting back home in PR, that's very different the numbers of when they vote here and what it means. And so, not to speak of their experience, but just you have those issues and then you have everyone else, and there's massive differences between those communities and language. And so it's really important, again, that Committee of 70 understands that we can make these resources, we can definitely try and make sure that they're accessible, but we have to put them in the hands of people who truly can get at the nuance for each of those communities.
Interesting, understanding the nuance. Interesting. But thanks for sharing that, because I think our reach allows for people to kind of see certain things that many, I call them heroes, unsung heroes like yourself, don't necessarily get a chance to give to the people who might watch this, right? And so now they're seeing, and if they know, knowing is half the battle, as I say, right? That's where we start. I want to back up to you mentioning organizing and including kind of like young voices and young people, right? We're currently working with some young people as it relates to civics, right? Engaging in civics, their civic duty, and them creating stories and narratives to be able to report as young journalists, right? For young people who may be watching this and watching you and, oh my gosh, she's amazing, right? How would you explain to them in their level, right? On their level. I think part of, just to kind of jump another conversation, but I think part of the problem that we have is, or the conversation that I have been hearing is, people sometimes don't want to vote or engage in the political processes because they feel that they're being taught that, not taught to. So we generally have these conversations as an academic, right? Not necessarily, I say, plain English, right? Or plain conversational jargon, right? We usually talk in terms of the academic, right? Or you turn on CNN, you turn on news, that's the academic, right? So I hate to use the word layman's terms, but for a young person who might be watching you, can you explain what civics is and why it's important for them to engage in civics?
Oh, well, I am so lucky that I don't actually have to do that by myself. I have a wonderful counterpart named Justin Villery, who's our director of civic education.
Love it.
And we have lesson plans that go from K through college. Amazing. I was at Temple doing a poll worker info session talking to a young man who, once I was saying some more about Committee of 70 and our fellowships that we have for college students,
Love it.
He's like, wait, you have a youth civics department? Like, we did not have that at my high school. And so, and he's from York County. He's like, yeah, I didn't have any of this. And what prompted the conversation too was that on our interactive voter guide, where you can learn about the candidates, right? We also have these videos of the candidates, and they are student interviews. So for high schools around the Commonwealth, we offer to connect students, like a teacher, with a candidate, and then the students are charged with not only writing the questions, but then interviewing the candidate.
I'll give you a round of applause for that.
Right? And it's not just magnet schools or private schools. We want all students to engage in this kind of work so that they can see firsthand without someone, like truly not even someone talking with them, but it's them. It's their voice. It's their questions. So we have that. We have another awesome, like we do mock trial with real candidates, and we have that across the Commonwealth with all of the direct candidates from that interactive voter guide, right? Students use that, and then they are the ones that are determining, like, what would, if we were able to vote, like, what would happen. And then we have this really great program called Can We Talk? Okay. And so that is a program which is really trying to get students, usually from like different high schools, but definitely from different ideological backgrounds, to learn how to converse with one another, not with the goal of finding consensus and some happy medium, but just can we listen to one another? And how do we disagree respectfully?
Yeah, adults need that.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, right?
Yes.
And so that's the work that we're doing. Again, we have K through college, but we do a lot of work with high schoolers and really centering their voice. And so in each of those programs, it's my amazing colleague who is making sure to have students discuss important issues, talk through candidates, and then talk to candidates directly.
How could someone get involved and engage with the Committee of 70? How can anyone become a member? Can anyone, what is that process like? Because if I'm on the outside looking in, right, and hearing an interview like this, I'm like, I gotta be a part of that. I'm sure it's people that's saying that.
That's
I need to
great.
be a part of that, right?
And then I didn't even say the website, right?
Well, you got a chance now. Here we go.
Saying all these great things. I'm like, oh my goodness. Well, luckily it's just 70.org.
Okay.
You spell it out. And we break it down by how to get involved. So there's Get Informed, which has the link to how Philly works, and then Find My Elected. So we really do try and make it user-friendly so that, because there's so much, right?
Yeah,
Government is so overwhelming. Yeah. And so if you could definitely fall down the rabbit hole, even in our own website, but we do say, get informed, and so you can find those different links, and everything that we have is free. And then we have Take Action, and so...
Hold on, wait. I'm sorry. You said everything you have is what?
Oh, yeah. It is free 99.
There you go. So, and I say that, I wanted to stop you there. I didn't mean to stop you. But I wanted to stop you there is because you have a lot of people who feel that there's so many barriers out there just to get information, and there's no barriers here unless you have challenges with access and, the internet. But it's free.
Thank you for that. Yeah,
Yes,
I should have said that.
Yeah.
With all of our student programs.
Yes.
Having us come out and do the mock trial or the candidate piece, those things are free. We also have, there's a teacher advisory council where you actually get a stipend, $1,000 stipend for the year.
Hold up,
So,
wait.
right?
Say that one more again. One more again.
Yes.
So you don't have to spend money. It's an opportunity that you might be able to receive.
Yes, to if there are any teachers who are out there, we have a teacher advisory council. You can get $1,000 for a year of service, and it's really just trying to think through great resources to keep sharing with one another. And so, in addition to taking action or types of taking action, you can become a member, and then you'll get access to a bunch of our events. And one of our events was our debate watch party, which we had at City Tap House with all kinds of snacks. That's always my favorite, but also a drink ticket. And that was free because we want to get people out. We're so excited. Right. You can hear me start to talk so much faster because I'm just so excited about all the things we have. And so, yeah, you can find different ways to be a poll worker. So those are the two parts of our website, 70.org. If you want to get informed and learn how Philly works, we have those resources. You'll see on the About page, you'll see my staff info. You can email me, and then I will send you resources. We will mail them to you. You can come pick them up. We're just right downtown. So the things that you need, we definitely got. We want to make sure that people are informed. I tell people all the time, and educated people cannot be taken advantage of. And right. So that is my purpose, making sure that we have those resources, whether we are young people or we're grown and sexy. Yes, thank you for that applause there.
So I think that's an excellent kind of ending point. This time flew, so I'm sorry I kept you on a little longer because I wanted to talk to you because you was giving some great information.
That's a nice way of saying I wouldn't stop talking. So thank you.
No, not at all, because we'll keep you on the show. Right? So first of all, you got to promise you'll come back.
Oh my goodness, I would love to.
Okay, especially we got. What is it? 30-something days left. How many days left to the?
Today is the 5th, and it's November 5th. Jeez. I mean, people don't even have. So you have October 21st is the last day to register to vote. Right. October 29th by 5 p.m. is when people need to request their mail-in ballot. But if people are here in Philly, we have these wonderful satellite offices now. In addition to City Hall, you can use these satellite offices. There were 2 block parties, I think, today outside a couple of them. Welcome America's doing it big on October 12th outside of the 3rd District Satellite Office. There's going to be a big party then October 19th up at the satellite office outside of the Susquehanna train stop. It is a one-stop shop. You can register to vote. You can apply for a mail-in ballot, fill it out, and drop it off all in the same visit. Wow. You can do all the things. The city has definitely made it so much easier for us, and you're not limited by the satellite office that's in your neighborhood. You can go to whichever one is convenient or wherever the next block party will be. We have so many different events and activities, so definitely.
Yeah, definitely keep We Talk Weekly in the loop. We'll come up, show up, and show out real quick. What is, before we let you go, you have to answer this, because you have been. I mean, you're doing amazing work. You're engaged in the community, engaged in the people. You are an activist, an advocate. You are representative of uplifting marginalized communities. You put the work in. What is the legacy that you would leave, or that you believe that you would want to leave? Yeah.
I absolutely believe that everyone wants to feel smart. Everyone wants to get that gold star. Everyone wants to feel good. And I think that my role is to try and give people the tools to do that, and to let them know that they can know these things, whether I was in the classroom or now wherever I go to do voter ed. I want people to know this is for you. This is yours. It is interesting. It is fun. I am so excited about it, and I want to make sure that people feel that and can share that with others, to take that kind of enthusiasm that I have, where it's accessible. Government is accessible. When I taught history, that's accessible, and it's for us, it's by us, and so I want to share it with us, and I hope more people feel that way, whatever age they are, whatever background they have. I want people to be excited to share that knowledge with others.
You want to revisit telling everyone what events or what things are coming up, and so they can follow, and how they can find you and get in contact with you and all that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have Committee of 70 is going to be at 2 upcoming block parties on Saturday, October 12th in the 3rd Council District from 1 to 5. And then the following Saturday, October 19th, we'll be up at the Susquehanna stop on the Broad Street line outside of another satellite office. And then we have some events coming up for Vote Early Day, which is October 29th, and then definitely doing lots of things on Election Day itself. I won't be at those parties. I will be at my local polling place. But if people are really interested in finding out anything more about Committee of 70, please follow us on all the socials. It's just Committee of 70, and our website is 70.org.
It's C70.org or 70.org?
Just the number,
wow.
70.
There you go.
.org. Thank you for that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You could tell this is the first time that I'm really plugging. So thank you for guiding me along.
You're doing an amazing job.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So I just want to thank you for coming. Do y'all have any? I was questioning her today. That's y'all got any more questions for this young lady who's been spitting bars, giving us the good stuff?
What advice would you give to someone who wants to follow in your footsteps and do what you've been doing?
Great question.
I think that I really loved being a teacher. I loved that experience. I was able to get into that through Teach for America and just going up to every amazing, usually in my schools, it was elder Black women who had been doing it, and I was like, teach me your ways. So just making sure to find someone who can mentor and who is willing to share that. And so when I decided to do something outside of the classroom related to education, I had already been following Committee of 70, but it was just at a perfect time because we got our first president CEO, who's a woman, Lauren Sizzle, and that is just absolutely right. After 100, only took 119 years at that point, but she's just been doing amazing things, and so to have a strong, capable, kind, encouraging woman as the leader of our organization and someone that I look to as a mentor has been really incredible. So just looking for people that really want to pull you up and see that as part of their strength, like that is what I also want to be able to do.
Real quick, before we got on another dynamic interview that's about to jump on, but I'm really curious. Does anyone come to you for, I guess, endorsement? Do they come to C70 for endorsement?
No, because we're nonpartisan.
Right, okay.
Yeah, but we do have, we will have on Tuesday, October 22nd from 7 to 8:30, we'll have an AG forum so that we can hear from all of the candidates. So we definitely have platforms for, we definitely have, pardon me, we have, and that'll be a virtual piece. So we did that in the spring. We'll do that again, just so that people can hear directly from the candidates.
Fantastic. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. What a dynamic interview. I had a great time. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, you got to promise you come back.
Oh my goodness, please make sure. You're going to have to keep me from now that I know where you are. Mm-hmm. I was banging at the wrong door earlier.
Because one thing we say is once you come to the show, you're a friend to the show. So you're always welcome to come back. And we have about 30 days. And I think we need to hear more information to get the people informed. And so we really appreciate you coming to the show. So I don't want you guys to go anywhere. When we come back, we got another dynamic interview. That one was great, though. But we got another one that's just as great. We'll be right back, y'all, after this.
We just want to get a little background as to who the Fantastic Noise is and the noisemakers, if you can let us know.
Yes, absolutely. So once again, I am Fantastic Noise. I am the original noisemaker, so no one's going to make as much noise as me, okay? And right here we have the Noisemaker Band. This is only half of it. The other stuffs are upstairs. My Kevin Lamar, Lonnie, and Dobbs, who are the actual band members. These are the background singers. And we came to make some noise. We came to bring that noise today. That's what we try to do. That's it.
Right.
Yeah.
And how did you guys get together?
Oh man, so it started with, I've been doing this on my own for almost 3 years now. And man, I guess each of these people here have different background stories. Most of us went to the same church together and we just kept going. This one, her here, this is one of my assistants here, one of like my biggest supporter, my biggest shooter here. She's an assistant. So we just been building, and the same thing with upstairs with the band, just meeting through people, kept networking, kept seeing, and it was just like God ordained. Bam, here we are.
Awesome.
Yep.
Well, could you guys do We Talk Weekly a favor?
Yes.
Can you give us a drop in a melody type way?
Oh, a melody type way?
Yes.
Okay. So We Talk Weekly?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to do something like this. We Talk Weekly, come and hear us. We Talk Weekly, come and hear them. 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 We Talk Weekly.